What's up, guys? It's Jensen and welcome to another video. So assuming that the NFL season starts on time, two of the more interesting quarterbacks to watch this season will be Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to assume that he gets picked number 1 overall, which there really shouldn't be a question about at this point. He's a clear number 1 pick. And Ben Roethlisberger of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I was wondering who would have a better season, Joe Burrow or Ben Roethlisberger. And this is a really tough question in my opinion. I went back and forth on this, because both these dudes have a good case to potentially have a better season over the other. They're both going to have good seasons in my opinion. They're both good quarterbacks. But let's just look at Joe Burrow to start off. People may talk about how, it might be a good situation for Joe Burrow to go into Cincinnati. But in my opinion, when we're looking at the offensive side of the ball, they're stacked on offense in my opinion. Just look at the wide receiver core. AJ Green, John Ross, and Tyler Boyd. That is stacked in my opinion. Cincinnati did a good job of getting wide receivers there for Joe Burrow to have nice targets to throw to in my opinion. And the guy I'm really focusing on right now is John Ross. Obviously we know what AJ Green provides. He's one of the top wide receivers in the game when healthy. A nice big target for Joe Burrow, assuming that he stays healthy, as we all know. But we know that when healthy, AJ Green's a playmaker. And Tyler Boyd's a very consistent wide receiver, has a good set of hands. He can make big plays also. But John Ross, I'm telling y'all, this dude, he's going to have a big-time season this season if he can stay healthy. Because when he's on the field, this dude has had some big games. And we know he's very fast. He had that 4.19 40-yard dash at the combine, the fastest in NFL history. This dude can make big plays. He's not just like a track star where there are those dudes who are just fast, but, they don't really know how to play the game of football. I think John Ross is different. I think this dude can play the game of football because he's had big games. And I think that with a guy like Joe Burrow, he's going to be by far the best quarterback that John Ross has ever played with. So I think that John Ross is going to have a big season. And Joe Burrow is really going to be helped out by a guy like John Ross, who's very dynamic. He can make big plays down the field. He might be Cincinnati's version of Tyreek Hill. Now, that might be a little bit of a stretch, but John Ross is going to have a very good season. And for all fantasy players out there, if you have the chance to select John Ross in the middle to late rounds of your draft, you should do it. The dude is going to be a steal this year. And I think that Joe Burrow throwing to those sets of guys, when we're looking at the running back situation, Joe Mixon, I think it's going to be a nice young running back for Joe Burrow to lean on. But the only problem I have is the offensive line might not be that great. But Joe Burrow, he's the type of guy where I'm not even worried about that. I still think he's going to have a good season because when we're looking at what he did at LSU last year, had one of the all-time great college seasons. He's accurate. He has underrated mobility. He could throw the ball down the field. Sometimes we criticize his arm strength. I think it's good enough. And I just think that Joe Burrow, he's a winner. And I think that he's going to make big plays for Cincinnati. And Zach Taylor, a head coach, I know he had a rough year last year. But I think that the dude knows what he's doing. I think he is a bright offensive mind. But I think that last year what really hindered him is having Andy Dalton and Ryan Finley at quarterback. And there's only so much a guy can do with those two guys at quarterback. It's just not ideal. So I think that I give Zach Taylor a pass. I think he's a good offensive mind. I think Joe Burrow is set up for success. But I think the answer to this question is Ben Roethlisberger. And obviously he's getting older at 38 years old. He might be on the decline, some may say. And that might all be true. But I still think that when this dude is healthy, he's a top 10 quarterback. He has enough arm strength. And I'm just going to go with what I know. The veteran presence, he's been in Pittsburgh for so many years. Unlike Joe Burrow, who's jumping into a new situation. And he has Juju Smith-Schuster and James Washington to throw the ball to in terms of his wide receiver core. And knowing the Pittsburgh Steelers, they'll draft another wide receiver in this draft. So you add another guy potentially to this stacked wide receiver core. They get Eric Ebron at tight end. This dude, he can make big plays. He's an upgrade from what they had last year, in my opinion. Vance McDonald is nice, but Eric Ebron is a playmaker. So when we're looking at that, when we look at the running situation where James Conner gives him a solid running attack, the offensive line is very solid, unlike Joe Burrow, where we don't really know about that offensive line. I'm just going to go with what I know. And I think that Ben Roethlisberger is going to have a better season this season, and the Pittsburgh Steelers will be able to get a wild card spot, in my opinion, because there's 3 wild card spots this season. So I think that Pittsburgh, they're going to be able to get a wild card spot, and Ben Roethlisberger will have a sensational year. That's all I'm going to say, though. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Please like and subscribe. I'll be praying for NFL and NBA hot takes as the season goes on, and have a good day. Remember to follow me on Twitter, Jensen Sports. See y'all later.